welcome to this special edition of Beyond the Loch. I say special edition because we're out on the road today, and generally we don't go out on the road for many people, but we're joined by a very, very special lady, arguably the First Lady of Drumnadrochit, Pat Veitch. Pat, a very, very warm welcome to Beyond the Loch.
Thank you.
Again, I seem to repeat this in many of the episodes that we've done. You need absolutely no introduction to anyone local, but for those that, can you believe, don't know Pat Veitch, would you maybe just tell them a little bit about yourself and your role in the Glen here within the community briefly? We'll focus on some of the other aspects as we go on.
Oh, well, I came to Drumnadrochit at the same time as the Queen became Queen, which was in February 1952. So I've been a long time in the Glen and have seen a lot of things happening. But in that year, 52 was a very spectacular year. That was many things happened then. Well, we had poor John Cobb had his accident on the Crusader. That was one of them, and we were very sad, and we actually saw it because we were escaped from school and managed to do a long walk and actually saw the Crusader in the water, and when it blew up, then it just sank gently in. That was the end of that.
When you say escaped from school, I assume that you mean you skived off school.
Well, no, I think we kind of just disappeared, but Mr. McKell hadn't said too much. I think he understood.
Mr. McKell at the time, that's it's probably quite remarkable for certainly even for myself to think that being around that length of time in the Glen and having all that history. Pat, we would be here all day if we were to cover all the work that you have done in the community. It's been truly remarkable, and we'll come on to the accolades that you received for that. But we're very much sort of focusing around the Loch Ness Hub, and that was the former Visitor Information Centre.
Yes.
I know that you used to clean the loos for the Highland Council there because you were one of our first employees at Loch Ness Hub. Maybe just tell everyone at home why you almost volunteered to put yourself forward for that role, and why the public toilets are such a vital asset to the community.
They were very vital to the community, but we also wanted to be clean, and we also wanted to make people welcome. At the same time, we wanted to make people safe as well. Too many as wells, but never mind. Cleanliness is important, and I think beauty as well is important. So both things were very necessary, and I think I spent most of the time looking after toilets because it was non-stop. It hardly ever closed, but we could never do the final clean-up until everybody had gone home, which was well and truly after 10 o'clock at night, and this was every night, of course. And then, of course, in the morning, one has to get up quite early and open the toilets too, and that was another thing. So everything had to be pristine before we went home. Not only that, we had the old toilets which were up near where the old post office was, and that was just a gent and a lady's place, basically. And of course it was open, and we thought we would paint it up and decorate it. So that was the beginning, believe it or not, of us wanting to have the village clean and tidy and beautiful. And you've no idea how many men helped as well to help us paint. But one day we had it locked up, and the council forgot to bring back the key, and I got a row for not opening it. And I was not happy at all at the time. That's a long time ago, mind you, but the toilets are no longer there, and it's in a very nice place, a garden for reflection it's called, and it's just a nice place to sit, and there's a lovely table there and the scenery all round.
Yeah, that garden of reflection at the former toilets, I think many of us forget about those. Just touching on the work that you were doing there and highlighting the fact to everyone that you were both opening and closing the toilets 7 days a week and cleaning them 7 days a week. And it's probably taken, I think we've now got about 10 people doing all that jobs that you used to do.
Do you realise now that there's quite a lot in it, and it's nice that you're taking up all these different roles, because I feel, wow, I've done something good in my life. I've got lots of helpers in these.
Oh, I think you've done more than lots of good, Pat, which brings me on nicely to talking about Drumnadrochit in Bloom, the Flower Forum. If we start with the Bloom, which I know again you won accolades for, your involvement in that and how that maybe started, and again why. You've touched on the beauty aspect already, but
well, we started off very early. There was a huge flood, and of course Drum was in an awful mess, and the first time we could ever get anything, we thought we'll have some flowers. So we started with a few very small hanging baskets and a hose that came from the Curly's place in number 1 on the green. And we had 3 or 4 different people volunteering every day, including Desmond. He was every day because he came out regularly. Desmond Macmillan, he was a great stalwart. He was a great man. He loved his roses, but he had a terrible stutter. But he was all right when you spoke to him normally. He was a very good stalwart. So that was the start of it. And then what happened thereafter, we decided that we could do our hanging baskets and put them into the floral hall, which was just being constructed. It was just in its primary state. And then eventually got caught up in the floral hall as well. Worked there for a while, but also used it as a place of help to get our flowers going.
fantastic. Yeah, again, it's always good to reflect on some of those stalwarts that are perhaps forgotten or even unknown by some of our viewers and listeners. Again, touching on why that voluntary aspect is important, and maybe leading into how you came to receive the awards for the Britain in Bloom. Back in the day, I believe there was an award for Drumnadrochit in Bloom.
Well, we got as far as getting silver gilt. We never got to the gold. And that is high standard. And for the gold, you have to have beautiful beds, permanent plants, pristine condition. The council, the two councils, the manual council and the other council, got together, so we did get a lot of help from them as well. So there were no weeds and things around because they had special tools, but we helped as well. And we litter picked non-stop. That was part of the pleasure. We didn't mind that. And of course, being judged, May Wright was Auntie May, and she was looking for divots everywhere, doubts everywhere, and you got marked on your badness if you had a bad spot. Your cleanliness wasn't 100%, but we never had that. They couldn't understand that, but we were very tidy. But we did it naturally. With teams of people, they loved to do it, and mums and dads helped as well. And I think everybody's remembering doing clean-ups. We eventually got litter pickers, but we had peculiar, quaint things first that just dragged it, and then we had shovels and cleaned it up. So old-fashioned first, and then we got the litter pickers. Two kinds of litter pickers, grabbers or clamps.
The sense of the pride and the passion that you have for, as you touched on at the beginning, presenting your village, that cleanliness, the safety. There's just so much, Pat, that the village owes you a tremendous amount for. Coming on to what many people now enjoy, including our visitors from across the globe, the Floral Castle, which is almost a floral replica of Urquhart Castle over on the village green in Drumnadrochit. You expand on that a little for us?
Well, the first thing we did was we went up to the castle itself, and we took a photograph and worked off the photograph of the actual castle, the modern that they have there. So it was similar. The first castle lasted, it was Mike Hahn helped with that. He designed it, and it took shape, and it was pretty good actually, and it lasted for about 15 years, and then we decided, we want to start again. So we did, but we were not going to leave it we had a bouncy castle in the middle. We thought, shall we leave this stuff or will it rot? It's not supposed to rot, so we went straight back to basics. So then Fraser Wright came along, special effects, fantastic person, and he really designed it, and he made a fantastic job, including the drawbridge and the way the stones were. Well, the basic stones were always stayed the stone. The big stones stayed the same, but the artistic work was really changed. And my brother Gordon, he was a very good welder. He did the welding, and he was perfect. He did no jagged ends this time, because there were a lot of jagged ends last time. So it was a safe place as well. But they weren't allowed to climb. Nobody was allowed to climb. Of course they did, didn't they? We were always getting so that was the thing. Our job was not to let them onto the castle ever. But
well, it's still a shining example of just some of the work that you've led on in the community here. Pat, we would be wrong not to talk about one of the highlights in terms of your British Empire medal, recognising some of the work. I say some of the work because there probably isn't a medal big enough or to attribute to everything you've done. But again, just expanding on that and how that came around.
Yes, I was very surprised about that one. Keith Abel was very responsible. He felt this was taking too long, so I think he made an effort. So it was Keith really who started them moving properly. So thank you, Keith, forever. But that was it was a very, very nice experience. I think basically they were impressed because it was the dedication, but I was able to get other people so dedicated, and they loved doing it as well, and they felt honoured by doing it. And of course we had to remember all those people who were not here anymore, and they were all young, very young, and the families had no families, so that was very important for people to understand, and still do, and I still go on about that forever. Partly that, and the caring of the place was another thing, but basically it was the War Memorial and the one in the satellite in Vermodison. The two linked, although it really belonged to Fort Augustus. We nicked it and we looked after that, and Don Damon was very, very predominant in that. He had a lot to do with it. He was quite not very good on his feet, but he always came out and he always helped, and we never had any weeds and things in it, so that was him.
And both of those memorials in both Invermodeston and just up at the bridge look fantastic today. So again, thank you so much on behalf of the community for all your efforts there. It's a great credit to those that have gone. So
the other thing I would like to say that we got Champion of Champions for many centuries, it felt. So that was our reward, and we always got our marks as well. So when we had the bulletin, we all put the marks, and we always did that. I know the Legion meant to do that, but we made sure the marks were known.
And the Champion of Champions, that was for the War Memorial?
War Memorial, yes. It was with gardens, yeah, for a small village.
Yeah.
Well, a medium village actually, but we were a long village. It was a difficult one to look after actually, because as you know, we've got entrances, 3 entrances.
Very difficult to look after, but you did an amazing job. Pat, coming towards the end of our time here, I know that there's a process currently underway in terms of ensuring that the legacy of your work continues, and Drumnadrochit Rural Community Association are looking to take over the Flower Forum, and I know some of the local businesses have been asking us how that mechanism is going to work. So for those, perhaps just saying what it means for all that support for the local businesses and the Flower Forum to present the village the way it does, and how that has worked and how it's going to work going forward.
Well, what's the great progress is now, because of it being taken over, it now shows up how each of the businesses and how the people connect together. And it's really lovely, because a lot of times they've made their own efforts to make very nice displays, etc. And they're now appreciating how much it takes to produce. And we've always had, with Donald Green and Julie Green, they're marvellous, and they bring the stuff to us, so we don't have to worry about the travel, because Nairn is not an easy place to come through, and they actually bring the baskets and troughs there, and they know exactly where to do it, and we've got a routine and a rota which makes it easier for them to find the places to put where everything's to go. And the good thing also is that the businesses, most of the businesses are looking after their own. When they get their special displays, they're looking after them their own. So occasionally some people need help, and
Okay.
that's where the watering and the watering and the feeding comes into it. That will be a difficult one, because it's a slightly technical one, because you've got mathematics, right? i.e. thinking not to put too much good stuff into the water before you water it, before you water the flowers, etc.
Yeah, you've got a platform to warn everyone.
Be careful, yes.
Be careful and do it right.
Oh no, yeah. They'll read first before they do.
Yeah.
That's it.
And for all those businesses who have been supporting and perhaps making a donation towards it, they can now do that through GURCA?
Oh yes, absolutely. We've closed our account. You can't get into it anymore. So you'll have to go into theirs. And yes, please, will you? Please give as much as you can, because the flowers themselves don't cost so much in the end if you think of little flowers. But when you see the mass, you think, well, that's beautiful. So all the mechanism between the flowers growing and dying, there's a lot of work in between, and care, and help,
Absolutely.
and volunteering.
Indeed. And I know that you have a team within Highland Council. I was speaking to Margaret Davidson, and she was always under no illusions as to, even when she was head of Highland Council, as to who was in charge of all those team of men that used to look after all the flowers. And she always used to say that Pat had more say over half of her staff than what she had. But I know there was a great affection there for all the guys that helped.
Margaret's very good, actually. No, but she often came down and she says, "God, this place is clean." Oh, we cleaned it. We've done it before. She thought we'll have to do a clean up, and she didn't need to because it was already done. She said that several times, actually.
Yeah. Your men still pull up at the hub every week, and they're always asking for you, Pat. So our pass on our best wishes from them.
Okay.
Pat, on behalf of the entire community, I want to give you a genuine, heartfelt thank you for everything that you have done for the community over the years. There's not enough words, there's not enough superlatives, but you're a legend of the Glen here. So thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, Russell.